All right, we are moving into more of our data stuff. So no more area, no more nothing. This is all about like data and info, this kind of stuff people use when they're trying to look at their products or look at their stuff they're going to make, things like that. So I can compare two sets of data displayed in what we call dot plots. So a dot plot is a number line to show the number of times each value of a data set occurs. That's it. So you'll see what it looks like here in a second, and you're probably like, oh yeah, I know what that is. So mean is the sum of all my data. So I take all my numbers and add them up, and then I divide by the number of data points. So if I have 30 pieces of data, I then divide it by 30. Okay? Median is the exact middle of it, but I have to make sure it's in order from least to greatest. So median is middle. And then the range is just how far out does it spread. So it's the biggest number, subtract the smallest number. Okay, the greatest value subtracted, subtract the least value of your data. Okay, just how wide is it, range. All right, so I know this is a little hard to read, so I'm going to read it. But people once used body parts for measurements. So for example, an inch was the width of a man's thumb, the width. Thickness. In the 12th century, King Henry I of England stated that a yard was the distance from his nose to his outstretched arm's thumb. So stretch out your arm and see, is that really a yard? The dot plot shows the different lengths in inches of the quote-unquote yards for students in 7th grade class. So they did this. This is what somebody in a 7th grade class did, is they went from tip of nose to their thumb and measured it, and then they did it in inches. And this is their data for their 7th grade class. Okay, so 33 inches, 35 inches, 38 inches, okay? So this is a dot plot. It's a number line with how many times that number occurred. So in this dot plot, the number 28 occurred once, the number 29 occurred twice, the number 30 occurred once, the number 30 and a half occurred twice, and so on. Okay, that's what a dot plot is. So what we're going to do is just kind of talk about what does it look like. We don't have to do anything mathematically yet. It says describe the shape of the dot plot. Are the dots evenly distributed? Distributed meaning, are they all pretty much the same? Or grouped on one side? So is it heavy on one side or the other? Or do they look all pretty even? So think about it for a second. What do you think? Are these pretty even, or are they, is there more on one side than the other? So hopefully you agree that these are pretty even. If you notice, they're all 1s and 2s, almost all the way across. There's one little 3. They are kind of centered here, but they are mainly fairly even. Okay, so mainly even, and then mostly in the middle. Oh, there we go. So, right, we got 1, 1, another 1, but they're mainly all right here, kind of in the middle of it. Okay, describe the center of the dot plot. So, if we just kind of look from one side to the other, where do you think the center is? Okay, kind of guesstimate where is the center. Now technically we need to find the actual center. What single dot would best represent the data? What best represents the center? When they say center, they really mean the middle. So we would kind of need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So there's 21 dots. So we need 20, 10 and 10, right? 1 from both sides. 2 from both sides. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 1 left. So we would say the middle is at 31 and a half. And really, if you look, it kind of does look like that. And so I would say that would best represent it as well, okay? All right, that's a pretty good middle spot, I would agree. All right, describe the spread of the dot plot. Are there any outliers? So outliers are numbers that are kind of outside of the data. They don't make sense. Maybe they're really small or really large. Outside of main data is kind of how I would explain that. Like it's way off. Remember, the spread is kind of that range, right? So what's the spread of the data? Is it really wide? Is it really small? Does it look like there's some numbers that really don't match? Okay, so we could say, you know, starts at 28, goes to 35, right? That's kind of the actual spread. We could even say most of the data. Between 29 and 34, and almost even cut those off. There's a bit of a gap, and most of the data really is between there, okay? Now, once we kind of actually talk about this, we then really are going to go find it. So the mean, we're going to find the median, and we're going to find the range. So the mean is probably the longest one, because we have to actually take all of these numbers that these dots represent and add them together, right? So I'm going to take 28 and add it to 29, and there's two of them, so I'm going to do 29 again. Then I'm going to do 30 and a half, right? Between these, there's two of those. And then I've got, make sure I have 3 31s. It's a lot of data. 31 and a half, but I got two of those. 32, I got two of those. Here I'm going to keep adding. 32 and a half, I've got two of those. 33, I've got two of those. 33 and a half, I only got one. Yay. Uh-oh. Not a room. I need to add two 34s. I need to add a 35. So, thankfully, I'm still going to let us use a calculator for this because that's a lot. So just make sure you keep track of it, right? So I'll start from the beginning again. 28 plus 29 plus 29 plus 30 plus 30 and a half plus 30 and a half plus 31, 31, 31. So the numbers should match how many dots I have, right? 1, 2, 3, so I have 1, 2, 3. All right, I'll keep going. 31 and a half plus 31 and a half plus 32, 32, 32 and a half, 32 and a half plus 33, 33, 33 and a half, only one, yay. 34, 34, and then 35. All right, I got equals 664 and a half. Maybe check me, see if you agree. So then we're going to divide that by 21. Remember, mean means add them all together and divide by how many we have. Remember, I counted that, so we're going to divide by 21. So the mean, and I'm going to say about because it doesn't come out great, is 31 and 6/10. Look at, the mean is the average. The mean is 31 and 6/10. We said the middle was 31 and a half, so that's kind of, it's really close. That's good. Now, the median we actually already did. Remember, it was the middle. We actually did that. That's 31 and a half. I'm done. That was easy. And then the range, remember, was the biggest number, so 35. Subtract the smallest number, 28. Again, you can do calculator. And we're going to get 7. So I think the hardest thing is this mean right here. That is not fun. But good thing you get to use your calculator, and then just really make sure you go slow and have every little piece, okay? All right, so the next thing we're going to do is actually compare 2 of them. Now we have an idea of what we're looking for, right? What do we mean by the shape? What do we mean by the center? What do we mean by the spread? Remember, the shape was this first one. Is it even? Is it heavy on one side or the other? The second question was center. So again, just the center. And then the last one is the spread. Is it super far apart? Is it really small and condensed? Are they all super close together? Alrighty, so let's compare these shapes. Visually compare them. So what is the shape? Well, would we say that they're even? Would we say that one is heavy than the other? We also have to be really careful. Look at where this one is. They look like they're kind of both heavy on the left, right, on the taller end. But look at where this starts. That's gotta be, we gotta be careful with that, okay? So I would say these are both kind of heavy on the left, right? But the softball players are definitely shorter than the basketball players. Overall, look at, these are all 5'8" and over, where these are all under 5'6". Okay, so we could say heavy to the, oh, I keep saying left, and I totally mean right. Heavy to the right. But the softball players are all shorter than 5'6". Okay, they are all small compared to the basketball players. All right, let's look at the centers. So the center doesn't always have to be exactly center, but it's best if it is. But we can kind of get a good idea. You know, maybe 5'3". Okay, if you kind of look and squeeze them together. We also can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty close. Maybe we scoot over just once so that's a little more even. So softball players is around 5'4" / maybe even 5'3", but I definitely would probably go with 5'4". And then the basketball players, same idea. We kind of look. Looks kind of like it's at 5'8", but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Definitely would probably say it's at 5'8". Okay, so basketball is at 5'8". That's its center. Okay, and you can kind of tell it looks like that. All right, last thing we're going to compare is their spread. So this also proves, or I just want to point out, this also proves that the softball players are definitely shorter. If their center is 5'4" and their center is 5'8", like these people, the softball players are on average shorter. So spread is how far apart are they? Like, is it wide or is it close together? So if we look at the softball players, they go from 4'8" to 5'6". Right, 4'8" to 5'6". How many inches is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 inches. Okay. These go by ones. Oh, these can go by ones. See, it's even less. I'm not gonna delete everything. This is actually, oh, and inches is 12. 4'11". So it's going to be even closer. 4'11". That's kind of my twos. Silly me. So this is 4'11". So 11, 5. So 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 inches difference. Glad I checked that. Okay, so let's do basketball players. I'll do better on this one, I promise. So this is 5'2" to 6 foot. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches. So the basketball players are more spread out, right? Basketball, more spread out. Their range is larger. They're more spread out. They're not as condensed. They have a bigger range of heights. All right, that's it. That's how you compare them. Okay, so things to remember. Median is center. Range is what we call the spread. Okay, and then the mean is sometimes we call it the average. Okay, so there's how you can kind of think of those. All right, so on this question, I want you to calculate the mean, median, and range. Okay, just realize these are halvesies. Oh no, these are not halvesies, huh? Man, I'm having a hard time today. This is 1, 3. Okay, so if I'm going to go do the mean, I'll start it out. 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5, oops, plus 5 plus 5, and then so on. You keep going. The median, remember we're going to cross them off. This is when we cross them off. Find the perfect middle. And then the range is that subtraction. You're going to subtract for the range. Okay, you can go back to the first example to look at how I did these. Okay, but you're just going to calculate the mean, median. Okay, finish this one off. I stopped at 5. All right, until next time.